Hello everyone, this is Puny Army, Information Officer of Clan Oni, here with Part 2 of the Kilo Report. As I mentioned in my previous video, I will be discussing the Kilo from three major kinds of gameplay styles: long, medium, and close range, or in other words, defensive, mixed, and rush strategies, essentially. For this particular video, we're focusing on the longer range, more defensive style of play with the Kilo. Unfortunately, there's only one blueprint for the Kilo that really exemplifies this playstyle, which is the Ursa Major. Once I'm done discussing the Ursa Major's pros and cons, I will adjust it to be better suited to your needs as a longer range player. So let's start with the actual composition of the blueprint, which you will notice, if you know your attachments well, that only the stock doesn't decrease ADS speed. This poses somewhat of a problem in the mid-range conflicts, since anything that shoots first at you at the mid-range will probably beat you because you won't be able to pull this gun up quite as fast as maybe you would like to normally. A second problem with the blueprint is an excess of recoil control, which, if you remember from the previous video, recoil control changes on a percentage base, and since the Kilo already has such low recoil to start with, decreasing the recoil on a percentage base means you don't really feel much of an effect past the first recoil control attachment. So the second recoil control attachment, here I'm calling the operator foregrip the extra attachment, is really unnecessary to the blueprint. And the lower aiming stability of only having one aiming stability increase for a longer range scope can be seen here. This is what happens when you only have one aiming stability increase on a longer range scope. I missed that guy completely because I couldn't keep on target well enough. I don't kill this guy at all because my recoil is out of control. I only kill this guy because, quite frankly, I steal somebody else's kill. The aiming stability prevents me from really being able to lock and stay onto target while using full auto. Now, yes, you can use semi-auto for the Kilo, and I do switch to the semi-auto version of the Kilo a little later on. But the problem is that the Kilo at long range requires 3 headshots or 6 torso shots. And if you've ever fought against a sniper or marksman rifle at long range with an assault rifle, you're pretty familiar with the fact that this generally means bad news, since most marksman and sniper rifles will be killing you in 1 to 2 shots, entirely dependent on what their specific range is and whether or not they headshot you. So these are really the main issues with the Ursa Major as a blueprint that I set out to fix right away. So this is my adjustment for the Ursa Major, where I swapped the SOCOM barrel for a TAC laser to give me more aiming stability and much faster ADS speed, since the barrel is no longer slowing the ADS speed and the TAC laser improves it. I swapped out the operator foregrip for the commando foregrip because I wanted that recoil stabilization and additional aiming stability. Now, since I had my recoil stabilization from something else, I pulled the muzzle brake off and put on the rubberized grip tape for recoil control without losing aiming stability. I could have gone with the compensator, but that pulls away aiming stability. I left the variable zoom scope simply because, as you're about to see here, I don't really like the sniper scope personally. The actual aiming stability overall consistently suffers because instead of switching between 3.5 and 6.6 zoom, you're at a constant 4.4 zoom, which has an overall worse effect on your aiming stability and therefore your recoil control, and the gun doesn't have enough aiming stability for this naturally. Can you use the sniper scope? Yes. If you prefer the sniper scope, go for it. It's a 4.4 zoom, and you have to be fairly careful with your bursting, but that is actually okay. Overall, I personally prefer the variable zoom because it allows me to do what the blueprint was originally designed to do and what the Kilo is frankly better at doing: interplay between mid and long range, using the long range against any other assault rifles or even SMGs, and switching to medium range if you can get close enough to combat pretty much everything else. The gun does, to some extent, suffer in the terms of closer range combat, but the gun is not designed to be anywhere in close range combat, and although it's inevitable it will happen, at that point really you're either going to switch to a pistol or something else. There are ways around that particular weakness for the Kilo, but this particular build is not designed for close range combat, and you should be keeping it out of close range combat. This is for objective play, this is for longer range engagements, so that is really what this is designed to do, and it does the job very well. It has a pretty good ADS speed, and it also stays on target really nicely, and in some cases I was actually able, at the 6.6 zoom effectively fight sniper and marksman rifles. Although this was mostly on hardcore rather than core, which is what you're seeing here from the clips, the actual build does a little bit better on hardcore, since you actually just really need one headshot, maybe two, and 3 or so body shots, even at long range, to effectively take out a target. Granted, they only guaranteed need one shot to hit you unless you're on ground war or Warzone, but even then that's not hardcore either, so that doesn't really matter. But the build does operate slightly better in hardcore, so please keep that in mind if you're using that in core. Now, if you're going to be constructing this exact build, and you're looking at your tac laser and you're thinking, I don't really like the tac laser because it gives me away, I would recommend the cerulean tac laser, which is a very dark blue and is extremely difficult for your opponents to see. This happens to be my favorite tac laser and gives the Kilo an abnormal advantage when using the tac laser. So if you do want to emulate this build rather specifically, try and use the cerulean tac laser if you have it. It's so much darker and so much harder to see than the bright green laser that is typical on tac lasers. So this is about all I have to say on the Kilo from long range. The next video, or the next part of this report, will be on the medium range Kilos, which there is a larger number of, and I think the Kilo plays a little bit better in the role of medium range. Thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day or night.